I'm so glad you're with us on the Clark Howard Show, where it's about you learning ways to keep more of what you make. Follow me at facebook.com/Clark Howard. When you're looking for deals, go to deals.clarkhoward.com. Got a question? clarkhoward.com/ask. Coming up in 20 minutes in today's Clarkrageous Moment, it is a plague right now with all the scamsters that are ransoming our own computers to us, that lock them down and ransom us back our own systems. I have some things you need to know and do before you feel helpless with the scamsters from Eastern Europe. And coming up in just a half hour, if you are someone who wants a minimal use cell phone, I have new news about a very, very inexpensive rate plan that will cost the typical person as little as $6 a month. Yeah, you heard me right. $6 a month. I'll tell you how it plays. I want to talk right now about something that is a cross current when you go to buy things. There's more and more choice in almost every product category. I'm happier with less choice. I'm happier with things that are widely mass-produced, and because of the level of production, getting the standardized stuff is cheaper. My wife and I laugh about this because she's into custom, I'm into standardization. And so wouldn't it be great if you could get customized goods without paying a fortune? Well, that would make me happy and make my wife happy. That is happening now. Because of the ability to narrow market, more and more products are coming available, being tested in low-risk tests instead of having to do big national rollouts. And I saw an item in the Wall Street Journal that one of the key ways that product manufacturers are testing things now is through Facebook and other social media. That an item that is not ready for prime time, not ready to be in mass production, can be tested through a very narrow market focus, and you can buy something that is very, very unique because of the ability now, new manufacturing methods that allow for things to be made profitably in smaller production runs. And then how do you stand out from the clutter and the noise and all that? You narrow market. And so the ability to use word of mouth and social media or to advertise to people who are your target market is allowing for a much greater number of items in the marketplace than we would have seen in the past, and without the huge number of market failures. You know, I shop at some bargain stores like Ollie's Bargain Outlet. Don't know if you ever heard of them. And you get to see one manufacturer mistake after another because they'll just buy the whole run of something that's a failed product. And you look at some of them and you think, who thought that cereal was going to be a good idea? Or who thought that candy was going to be a winner or whatever? Well, instead of having the big oops, you are able to laser focus and at the same time give people choice without the risk to the business. It is a win, 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 win. And it allows for people to find that needle in a haystack type of item that would appeal to you. Like for our producer, Joel, it would be if Oreo came out with a cookie that in the middle had the gook being some kind of craft beer. Is that about right?
That's totally right.
But you think about for the whole craft beer thing that you're so into, the ability now to zero in and very narrowly target market because of Facebook and other social media, it's going to create so much more choice and opportunity. Follow me at facebook.com/Clark Howard. Our web address, clarkhoward.com. When you got a question for me, go to clarkhoward.com/ask. Kevin, welcome to the Clark Howard Show. How can I serve you?
Well, Clark, I have a question concerning Credit Karma. I joined with them recently, which I thought was going to be a good move, and they provide some information. But when I got on the information service, I noticed when they listed the FICO score that it was about 100 points difference than other FICO scores that I had checked with other places. And my concern was which one is the correct one, and how do I either correct that or get some information on how to, or who's right, in other words.
All right, so Credit Karma does not give you an actual FICO score. FICO is a company that issues a proprietary score, which is the one most often used in credit decisions, like 99% of the time or whatever. The FICO score is used. What Credit Karma does is they give you a score based on your TransUnion credit report.
Okay.
And it is a score that they make up using their own math formula. Okay. And what I find with Credit Karma is what you should pay attention to is rather than the number, look at the letter grades they give each part of your report.
Okay.
So, they'll give you an overall grade. And do you know what your overall grade is on your Credit Karma? Is it A, B, C, whatever?
I think I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was a B. I'm not sure. But the difference, like I said, with you mentioned TransUnion, was 100 points difference in their value, and that was my concern. So what you're basically saying is not to be concerned about the number, but be concerned about what their actual grade is
and the trend.
Uh-huh.
So if you stay on Credit Karma for a while, for years, it'll show you, like, while we're talking, believe it or not, I just signed into my Credit Karma account.
Uh-huh.
And my score moves up and down within a range over time, and I'm up 13 points from the last time I looked, so a lucky 13 this time. But they'll tell me what factors are raising or lowering my score over time. So if you use it as a method of taking the temperature of your credit and you see the trend over time that you're headed upwards with your score or you're gradually headed downwards, that's where it's really valuable. Like, for example, they gave me a C on something that, thank goodness, is a small factor in making up what makes a credit score be what it is. And they say I have too many accounts.
Right.
Too many active accounts.
Okay.
So they give me an A in utilization and an A in payment history, which, if you've ever heard me explain, that's roughly 2/3 of what makes up your score.
Correct. So, yeah, and I had some in the last 10 years. I'm 10 years now out from a bankruptcy, and so obviously I knew where certain things would enter into it, but and I finished off on a tax lien, so I knew there was going to be some, but this number was what was confusing to me because you get so used to getting on the other one.
Sure.
You look and you see that big number.
Yeah, if you use Credit Karma as like a tool to see how you can punch up your score and what categories you could have the greatest impact punching up your score, that's where it's really more valuable than just the pulse of what number do they say I am right now. And David is with us. Hello, David. Welcome to the Clark Howard Show.
Hey, Clark. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure. How can I be of service to you on the subject of identity theft?
Well, this past Saturday, my wife and I had spent an evening out. We got home late in the evening and went by our mailbox, which is out at the street because we live in the country. Brought the mail in, started thumbing through it, and noticed I had a letter from a bank that I had never done business with. So I opened it up, and there was an indication inside, a little note that was identifying a Visa debit card account that had been opened in my name.
Oh, no. Oh, boy. All right, that's not good. Have you talked to the bank since?
I did. When I got in, this was like 11:30 at night. I immediately went on to annualcreditreport.com, checked my credit reports, and they all looked fine, except for I noticed that back on April 25th, which was about a week earlier, that this particular bank had made a credit inquiry, which raised another red flag for me. So the next morning, which was this past Sunday, I called the bank, went through some information with them to identify who I was, my address and whatnot. Once they confirmed that I was who I said I was, of course, they closed the account immediately. They did tell me that the account had been opened online and that there had been some transactions on it since then. But I immediately went back then to my credit reports and put fraud alerts on all of them.
All right, and fraud alerts won't do a lot for you. Now, I want to give you some marching orders here, and I also want to tell you that what has happened with somebody opening a checking account as if they're you is actually more serious as a form of identity theft than if someone had opened a credit card account as if they're you.
All right.
So number one priority for you to do as quickly as you can is you need to file a police report.
I've already done that.
Great. And you'll need to get a copy. They may make you wait 2 or 3 days or whatever. You will need a copy of that police report. And because it involves a checking account being falsely opened as if you're you, you're going to need to keep that police report on your person.
Okay.
Because the danger here is that somebody with that account open goes and goes online and orders checks using that account number and then starts writing checks as if they're you. And then when those checks bounce, the merchants don't know that it was a fraudulent account. It's possible they swear out a warrant for your arrest.
Well, now, how is this account funded in the beginning for there to be any money in there to be drawn?
They didn't have to put much of anything. They could put any deposit, be able to get checks, and then they start writing them. And so that's the worst scenario. I'm just giving you the wake-up call.
Okay.
So the next thing is the fraud alerts aren't going to get it done. You need to do a full credit freeze because somebody's actively using your identity to try to establish credit or open accounts. So this is only the first you're aware of.
Okay.
And a fraud alert doesn't shut them down. If you do a credit freeze, it shuts them down cold.
Yeah, that was the next thing on my list. I was just waiting to get a copy of the police report.
So how much is it for you to do a credit freeze in your state? Do you know?
I think it's $3.
$3. Go spend the $9. 3 times 3. Go ahead and get it done. And don't wait for the police report because you may be actively in the sights of an identity thief. Mm-hmm. So I would go ahead and get it done because with the police report, it would be free. And depending on the credit bureau, you may get a waiver anyway just by telling them that you were a victim of identity theft.
All right.
So I've got the procedure to do those credit freezes at clarkhoward.com.
Okay.
So I hope that this is the end of it. But please remember what I said. The police report stays on your person for a good long time.
Okay. Should I be worried or concerned at all about my legitimate local or online bank accounts or investment accounts?
No, not at all. Okay. No, the individual was interested in establishing new accounts as if they were you, not tapping into your existing accounts. And so I would not necessarily fear that. Here on the Clark Howard Show, one of my key missions is to keep you from getting ripped off, getting taken advantage of. I need to tell you, the ransomware thing gets uglier and uglier and uglier. You say, what's ransomware? I'm going to tell you in today's Clark-rageous moment.
Scams, rip-offs, outrages. It's a Clark-rageous moment.
Ransomware is where you might do a fat finger type where you mistype a web address by one character, or you download something malicious in an email without realizing it, and it allows crooks to take over your computer and lock it down. It is a horrendous problem hitting corporate America big time now, in addition to you and me as individuals. For you and me as individuals, there are some steps you can take that will severely limit the damage if the crooks get a hold of your computer, because what they then do is they hold it ransom for hundreds of dollars for you to get your own computer working again. You may have key data stored on it that is inaccessible, and you were in real trouble if you have key sensitive work kind of documents. So there are things you should do now that are pretty easy that can protect you. Now, we've had some disagreement among techies when I've given guidance in the past about storing all your key files in the cloud, using Google to store them or any other storage thing like Dropbox. And there have been a number of techies who've said that they disagree with that. I think it's fine, but they disagree and say you should have your own external hard drive to protect yourself. In addition, something that you know you should do, but very few people actually get it done, is you should have antivirus software on your computer and keep it up to date. I use one called AVG that is free for the basic version, paid for a more advanced one. There's another one called Avast that people really like. If you look at our free and cheap page at clarkhoward.com, you can see what antivirus stuff you can use on your computer that should provide a layer of protection. But because that's all it is a layer of protection, it's not foolproof. That's why having storage of your key documents off the computer is key, and having automatic backup of the items on your computer is central to you not being held ransom by the hoodlums from Eastern Europe.
You know, if you're like most folks, you know that you need to start investing, but you just don't know where to start. With all those confusing stock dividends and complicated acronyms, and it's enough to make your head explode. Well, Acorns has solved that problem. You see, Acorns is the app that takes the big decision of investing and turns it into a small one for you. How? Simple. Acorns rounds up all the spare change from your everyday purchases and then invests that change into your future. It's automatic. You just spend like normal, and then you watch as your wealth grows thanks to Acorns. You see, Acorns was founded on the idea that everyone can be an investor. Doesn't matter how much money you have. And with Acorns, every purchase you make becomes an investment in your future. All you do is connect your favorite credit card or debit card, and then the app rounds up your purchases to the nearest dollar. So $10.50 becomes $11, and that 50 cents goes directly into your account. It's not a lot with just one transaction, but with everything you do, you're investing a lot of money. Every dollar is automatically diversified across thousands of stocks and bonds. So there you have it. It's simple. Acorns takes your loose change and turns it into something valuable. That's probably why there's more than 1 million people who already use Acorns. So sign up today by going to acorns.com/save. When you do that, they'll give you a $5 bonus when you make your first investment. That's acorns.com/save.
I'm glad you're with us on the Clark Howard Show, where you learn ways to save more and spend less. And don't let anybody ever rip you off. Our goal is for you to hear information here that you can put to work in your wallet each and every day so you can empower yourself by living on less than what you make. You can follow me at facebook.com/Clark Howard. On the web, clarkhoward.com. And you got a question, clarkhoward.com/ask. One of the areas we cover, because it's such a high interest for many listeners, are ways that you can save on a monthly cell phone. And usually I'm talking about things like unlimited this, unlimited that, unlimited the other. But somewhere between 20% and a third of people, depending on how you categorize them, are just into having the lowest cost monthly cell phone bill possible. And there are companies that specialize in that area. There's one from Europe that has only recently come to the United States called Tello, or however they like to say it, TELLO.com. Now, the reason, regardless of how you pronounce them, you should be interested in them is they allow you to exactly tailor your cell phone service to exactly what you want. Let's say you have a kid and you want to make sure that you can stay in touch with the kid, but you don't want to spend a lot of money. You can have a $3 a month cell phone plan that only allows unlimited text. Many times for a kid or a teenager, they hate talking on the phone. So you could do a plan with 100 minutes of talk a month for $3, and then the unlimited text for $3, a total of $6 a month for the cell phone plan. Now, if somebody loves using a lot of data, it's not a deal. But about half of people get by on 1 gig of data a month or less. 1 gig is $11 a month. So if you run with me here, you could do 100 calling minutes for $3, the unlimited text for $3, and $11 for the 1 gig of data. You have a $17 a month cell phone plan. That's really a decent price. And you'll see that there's a sliding scale where you choose in each of the 3 categories how many minutes you want, how many texts you want, and how much data you want. If you are a talkaholic and you want to talk and talk and talk, this may not be a deal for you, because unlimited minutes and unlimited texts, that runs your bill all the way up to $18 a month for unlimited talk and text. So that is, I guess, a good price, but it's not outstanding. So this is really more geared towards someone who doesn't like to use a huge number of minutes or live on a cell phone. And that, again, is a huge number of people who want very limited use, want access, but limited use. And for parents with very young kids, where you may just want to stay in touch with them, you can do $3 a month, and the only way you can communicate is with text. Or you could do the 6, where at least you have the 100 minutes. So you have the unlimited text and the 100 minutes, so you're 3 and 3, or 6 a month. Again, the company is called Tello.com, Tello.com. And look at our cell phone guide. We have a number of companies available there from rates that are free per month on up. The deals in this area just get better and better. When you have a question for me on the Clark Howard Show, go to clarkhoward.com/ask. Eddie is with us. Hello, Eddie.
Hi, Clark. It's a privilege to talk to you.
Well, it's a privilege to speak with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I received an email. Just looks too good to be true, and I know it is. I haven't heard anyone call your show to tell you about something like this, but I want to run it by you, see what you thought, or maybe somebody who receives the same one, they can identify whether it's legit or not. It's supposedly from a lawyer, and he's trying to get me to be his client because I have somebody who passed away maybe a couple of years ago, and as a result of this death, I'm going to receive close to, I guess, $13.5 million.
Sorry to tell you, Eddie, you didn't have that rich, distant relative out there that you were the only known heir to the throne.
Oh, darn.
I'm sorry. That is actually a fairly common email scam.
Yes, I thought so.
So, had you already spent any of the $13 million? Were you already picking out your yacht and your private jet and all that?
I've traveled quite a few times already in my dreams.
Well, I'm so glad that you had not done anything with the hoodlum who was trying to rip you off. You know, before you were done, they would have taken untold numbers of thousands of dollars from you.
Wow.
So
yeah, I received the first email. That was about 2 days ago, and then today another email. That's why I decided I erased the first one, and then the second one I saw it, and then I said,
you just keep deleting those. There's not even a scintilla of possibility that you had that ultra-rich, distant relative that they're trying to reunite you with the money. Steve is with us on the Clark Howard Show. Steve, you have a pretty sad discovery.
Yes.
Steve, share with me and your fellow listener what's going on.
My mom ran up some bills. She has Alzheimer's. She was diagnosed about a year ago, and we had to put her in a home. And she ran up the credit card bills to the tune of about $10,000.
Did she do that after her diagnosis or before?
No, before.
Okay. And
I've been paying them. I've tried to pay the credit card bills.
Why?
And
you didn't run them up.
Really know. I guess I'm just taking care of my mom.
Well, that is really a good son. But when she ran those up, she was not of sound mind.
Yeah.
And your mom, is she rolling in dough? I guess not. If you're paying the bills.
No.
So I would encourage you. How old's your mom?
She's 83.
She's never going to live independently again.
No.
The only asset she has is whatever Social Security comes in each month?
Right. And that's exactly what the ALF takes for her to stay there, is her whole Social Security check.
Well, then you no longer pay any money against these credit cards. They are not your moral obligation, and almost never would be considered to be your legal obligation. It would be a very, very rare circumstance.
Uh-huh.
So it is something that you were doing out of kindness and love for your mom, but it is an obligation you should not assume.
Uh-huh.
Because if you told me you were rolling in money, you wouldn't be making little payments on these. You would have said, well, Mom did it. I'm just going to pay off the $10,000. That's not your situation. You should not, in turn, hurt your financial picture by paying on these on her behalf. What are they going to do to her?
Well,
let them take over her care.
She still has a home and a car, but that's all.
So the home she owns free and clear?
Yes, it's free and clear, and my name is on she has life use of the home, and then it will be mine.
Okay. So again, it is not your obligation for those credit card debts. What I think you do is you have some kind of documentation that your mom has Alzheimer's, right?
Yes, yes.
So you contact the credit card companies and you say that your mom is now in assisted living or nursing home. She has Alzheimer's. She has no income. Mm-hmm. I just want to let you know, and bam, that's it.
And they, because I've been paying them for quite a while, like I'm going to say 3 years, will they have any recourse against me?
No, you did not assume liability for her debts. You were not an owner of the accounts. And when they send the bills, they send them in her name to your address. Is that what they've been doing?
Yes.
So your name's not on any of the cards.
No.
So you could just choose to stop paying.
My sister is a POA, but she's not on any of the credit cards either.
All right. For people who don't know what that means, that's power of attorney.
Right.
But again, that does not obligate her to pay when there are no assets.
Okay.
So please, you have enough. You have enough. Yes, you have enough responsibility, being a good, loving son and being there for your mom, and that is the total that you should be expected to do. You do not pay on those bills when you don't have that kind of money, Steve. And best to you and your family. Jeff is with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Jeff.
Yes, Clark. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. You decided that you wanted to build Noah's Ark in your house, huh?
Yeah, I ended up having to make my first ever homeowner's insurance claim, and it's become a little bit of a frustrating process for me.
What happened?
Well, some architect that designed our house originally decided it was a good idea to put a water heater up in the attic. I'd like to have a word with him if I ever meet him, but the water heater decided to let loose on us while we were out of town, and when we came back home, found our ceiling caved in and our floors flooded, and had about $8,000 to $10,000 of damage on the house.
Wow, what's the good news?
Well, it could have been worse.
Okay, that's good.
The insurance is covering it. But the frustration with the insurance company is that This happened over Easter weekend, so it's been, around 3 weeks now. And when they originally came out, sent the adjuster out, they sent me their estimate of what they would give to replace the damaged parts of our house. And so we used that as our budget, and we went out and we've been shopping and researching and trying to find the most bang for our buck based on the money that they included in that estimate. Well, just yesterday, 3 weeks after the original estimate, they sent me a revised estimate that decreases the amount that they're going to pay by about 20%. Which
say what? So that's how you get to 8,000 or 10,000.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been doing this for decades.
Uh-huh.
I have never heard of that before.
Well, this comes from
I'm telling you,
rated insurance company as well, too. So
I'm sorry?
This comes from one of the more highly rated insurance companies that you recommend a lot as well.
Well, the thing that's crazy is that if they made a math error the first time, I could see it. But if it's not a math error, what explanation have they given you about why unilaterally they came back and said, oh, this is going to cost a couple of $1,000 less?
The bulk of it is because they took a portion of the flooring that we're going to have that was damaged. They took a sample of that, sent it off to a lab. The lab analyzed it and determined that material, I guess, was of a lower quality than what they had originally valued in the original estimate, and so they're adjusting all of the material costs.
Are they right?
I don't know. I don't know how to do that estimate myself.
Okay, so what I suggest, Jeff, is that this insurer is one that it's a mutual. You own the place.
Right.
So it's not like it's us versus them. It's us versus us in this case. So what I would do is figure out what it's actually going to cost you to repair your home.
Okay.
And if it is more like what they first said and not the second, that you go back to them and say, well, I appreciate that you think we can do this for less. Here are all the repair costs that we've come up with. This is what we can do it for. And I think it's a negotiation. I'm shocked by what you've told me. Sending out tile to a lab? Really? Never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, he said it's a new thing that they do. They take a sample.
Well, but the other part is you're to be made whole. And if you can't be made whole at the price they said, then you appeal. And I expect, Jeff, that with documentation, whatever the real amount is it'll take to fix your home, that's what they'll pay. And that's the attitude you should go into this with them. When you have a question for me on the Clark Howard Show, go to clarkhoward.com/ask. Myra's with us. Hello, Myra. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Clark Howard Show.
Thank you. Hello. How are you?
Great. Thank you. Understand that you have a student loan question for me. Is that true?
I do, yes. Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can serve you.
Okay. So I'm currently paying back my student loan, and they just recently added the option to have the money drafted out of a checking account. And I was wondering, is that a safe thing to do?
It is not.
It's not?
It is not. You do not allow a student loan lender to draft your account.
Okay.
Because when you allow anybody to draft your account, the way drafting works, you're giving up so many rights. Let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say you finish paying off the student loan.
Uh-huh.
It would not be unusual for them to keep drafting you even after you finish paying off the loan.
Wow.
A draft, once it starts, is tough for you to stop. And the industry has purposely not instituted good consumer protections for you on drafting. What I prefer as an alternative, you want to make sure they get their money every month, is that you set up through where you have a bank account or a credit union account, you have access to free online bill pay. You pay them automatically from your own account, but don't allow them to draft your account.
Okay. That was my next option. I usually just do a money order. and just take it to them, so I wouldn't have to worry about those days of interest accruing. So when I heard about that, I was like, okay, maybe I can do this, but because I haven't tried a bill pay. I do bill pay in other areas, but
so if you just set it up as one of your bill pays, you're always in control, and you just set up on the day it needs to be there, and you set it up where it's automatic payments until further notice, and then when you're done paying off that loan, you discontinue that bill pay, and you don't have to worry at all that they have that drafting right and would come in and eat up money that's not theirs.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much for answering that.
Certainly, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You do the same.
Okay.
When you're going to buy a car, pricing information is great and necessary, but there's more to doing it than just the price. There's the actual buying experience. If you want to enjoy a better one, you should go to a TrueCar certified dealer. They're there to help you find the car that you want, and they're also what make TrueCar unique. With TrueCar, you can connect with a local certified dealer that you choose, so you can lock in a guaranteed savings off the MSRP and enjoy a totally better buying experience. And by better, they also mean faster. Over 2 million cars have already been sold to TrueCar users who have visited their TrueCar certified dealer. And there are over 11,000 TrueCar certified dealers nationwide, so it's probably pretty easy to find one near you. And check this, for a new car, average TrueCar users save $3,279 off MSRP. All right, so you're probably wondering, how do I do this? It's easy. Just go to TrueCar.com or, right there on your phone, download the TrueCar app. You can find the car you want, see the TrueCar pricing curve, which shows you what other people in your area paid for the same car, and that way you can know you're getting a good price and feel confident. Then you'll get a guaranteed savings certificate from the TrueCar certified dealer. Go to the dealer, and your guaranteed savings off MSRP will be honored, and you enjoy a quick, easy experience. How's that for car buying? So when you're ready to buy a new car, or even a used one, visit TrueCar.com or download the TrueCar app and enjoy the better car buying experience. Some features are not available in all states.
I'm so glad you're with us on the Clark Howard Show, where it's about you learning ways to save more and spend less, and don't let anybody ever rip you off. Speaking of spending less, coming up a half hour from now, a lot of us have bills that automatically are just there, month after month, or quarter after quarter. Well, now, instead of you having to try to figure out, oops, why am I paying them? There are easy ways for you to determine what you're paying that you don't mean to, and you shouldn't waste that money anymore. I'm going to fill you in on your options to smartening up your wallet in just a half hour. I'm going to tell you a couple of things about the car business, updates for you. Car sales have been great overall, but behind the curtain, there's some things you should be aware of. Ford is actually selling cars at a huge rate. And when I say cars, I mean all vehicles. But in something that's got the financial crowd really upset, somewhere close to 4 in 10 Ford cars, vehicles, trucks, whatever, being sold right now are being sold to rental fleets and other what are known as fleet buyers. And those are considered to be junk sales, meaning that they're having more trouble getting people at the Ford dealers to buy their products than they have in a while, even though their overall numbers look great. So it means that you have an opportunity to get a really good deal if you're looking at many of the Ford products. And when you're looking for a great deal on a car, I'd love for you to consider checking out a website called TrueCar. TrueCar does a very good job of giving you a sense on any model, what is the price point that you should expect. And if you don't even want to do any of the work, you can buy it through them. Just like there are many of these programs now, like Costco has a car buying program now that I think this number's right. 600,000 people a year are buying cars now through the Costco car buying program. No negotiation. They handle everything about what price. They tell you what dealer to go to, the whole deal. All you do is take delivery. And there are certain very weak spots in the market. BMW has a car called the i3, which is an electric car that has fallen behind the market with the range of its batteries. And BMW even has 2015 models still left unsold, as here we are halfway through 2016 virtually, and they got all these unsold cars. So there are special leases being offered that vary by region of the country on the i3 that are very, very good price deals. In the cheapest markets in the country, they're $199 a month for a car that retails out in the $40,000 plus range. And Hyundai is having trouble getting people excited about the new Elantra. It's a very different looking shape, getting great reviews from auto writers, but the consumers aren't as excited about it because it's not as stylish as the old Elantra, but the reviews, as I said, have been outstanding. And so Hyundai is having to offer a huge number of incentives to get people interested in the Elantras. Now, of things that people don't care about right now, fuel economy is pretty much something that almost no one cares about, with gas prices so much cheaper than they've been in the last many years. But while we're not paying attention, new technologies are coming along that are going to make cars much more fuel efficient. One of them is a new battery technology for regular gas engine cars that is a 48-volt battery. Typically, a car will have a 12-volt. These 48-volt batteries not only start the car, but they assist the gas engine in working kind of like a hybrid, but at an extremely low cost. And these are going to start appearing in cars next year. And these things will offer much more acceleration, allow a manufacturer to put in a smaller gas engine if they wish, because the 48-volt battery is going to give such a boost to that startup acceleration. And then the smaller the engine typically, the much better the fuel economy. And I know today you may not care about fuel economy, but we know what happens with oil and gasoline. It goes up and down like a yo-yo, and the time will come where you'll actually care what you pay per gallon of gas again. Pat's with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Pat.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I was on the freeway and wasn't able to get the information about the free credit report. I live in California.
Well, I'm glad that you did not take your eyes off the road to try to write down the information.
That's right.
And what happens in California if you look down at a smartphone?
Well, right after I'd heard was trying to get right down to some stuff right in front of my where I make a turn into my park here. There was a gal went right through the red light, and the cop was 2-3 cars down and didn't even see her. Almost hit another car.
Really? Well, you know, in California, you are looking at a cell phone even at a red light. Did you know this?
That's right.
Even at a red light, you get a big-time ticket.
That's right. You can't do it at all.
Right. So here's the story. There's a website that is the government-sanctioned website called annualcreditreport.com.
Annual credit.
And once each year, you're allowed to see copies of all three of your reports. Are you someone who is really detail-oriented, or are you someone who's more flaky like I am?
A little more flaky.
All right. So for you, go ahead and pick a time each year, like just like a birthday or July 4th or something, a date that you'll always remember. Hey, this is when I'm supposed to go to annualcreditreport.com because it's been my year, and I can go back and get free copies of my reports.
That's great.
Now, for people who are not flaky like you and me, who are very detail-oriented,
right,
what I recommend is that you set up on a calendar that every 4 months you go and get only one of your free reports because there's Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. So every 4 months, you'd be seeing one of your reports for free. If there was something really messy going on, you'd see it.
Right. That sounds great.
Now, I got a bonus site for you. Ready?
What is that?
Credit Karma. K-A-R-M-A. K-A-R-M-A. Like karma, like good karma, bad karma. Yeah, K-A-R-M-A. Credit Karma. You go there. You can do a brief registration with them, and they'll let you see your credit score for free.
Oh. Okay.
And they'll let you see it as much as you want, which more than enough is like a few times a year. But whenever you want to see it, you can go see your score.
That's great, and that's Credit Karma.
Karma.com, right.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, have a wonderful day.
You too.
I'm so glad you didn't look down while you're driving on the freeway, because not safe. Now, you know my least favorite freeway in the United States of America?
That's right.
Do you know which one is my least favorite?
Which one?
The 405.
Oh, 405. Okay, where's that?
That is in Southern California. It runs through the L.A. metro area and Orange County. And that is my worst nightmare. But it's worse for any producer who's with me when I'm on the 405 because who wants to characterize what I'm like when we're on the 405? Kim, you want to?
You've never seen Clark so unhappy. So unhappy. And nothing he can do about it because you're just stuck.
Stuck in traffic. Can't stand it. So, Robert, there's something you can't stand. It's something that your city is doing to you or your county?
Our city.
What is your city doing, Robert? And since cities are monopolies, you can actually name your city if you want. If it's not a private entity handling something for your city, go ahead and name them.
Tavares City.
And what do they do to you?
They have base charge for water at $70. Like, before you get a drop of water, you have to pay them $70.
You know, this is something I have experience with. In my case, it's $55 as a base. And this is happening more and more around the country. So what's the justification for $70 just for existing?
They said between the FAA residential, the fire department thing, stormwater, regular water, sewer water, and garbage and utility tax is a justification of it. And your sewer and your water are actually the main two that fluctuate and the tax varies from month to month. Like, I have a very small house, and it's just me living in it. And I only consumed 2,000 gallons of water, I'm assuming, because it's what it says, consumption too. And that's the way they explained it to me this morning. And
well, let me tell you the worst part about the stack deck with how the water bills are done. And this has been a beef of mine for a while about these new minimum charges that are popping up around America. So if the idea is to encourage us to conserve water, if you have a month that you use very, very little water, let's say some people become so fierce about this, they have a timer that they start when they get in the shower, and when the egg timer's done, 3 minutes, bam, they're out of the shower. I mean, there are people that are really that fierce about it. You get no reward for being very, very good with water conservation. You're punished the same way as other people. And if you have, let's say, a month of pretty significant consumption, and the next month you use almost nothing, you're still stuck paying the minimum. So you're being punished, not rewarded, for having conserved water. So what should you do about this?
Yes, sir.
You find out when the city council is meeting.
Okay.
You get on the public agenda list. You know how there will be a speakers list that you normally do with.
No, sir, I don't know none of that stuff. That's kind of why I'm calling you.
Yeah, you call the clerk of council of your city council, and you tell him or her that you would like to be on the public. There'll be a public moment or a time that citizens can address the council.
Okay.
And you want to go address the council. There will be also, say, at first, you start with the most basic thing, and you should have gone ahead and done research to find out What's the water charge in other places near you?
Well, I have, like Mount Dora, which is only a mile away, or a couple of miles away at most. Their water bill averages 10 to 15 to 27, and my brother and his wife, they water their yard a lot, and their water bill is like $27.
All right, so you collect that kind of information from different places, and you present that to council during public comment period. Then if you really got fired up, you start organizing other people, because if you're annoyed about what your water bill is at a base of $70 a month, you're not the only one. There are perhaps lots of people who are fed up. Now, what do public officials not like? Angry constituents. So you don't yell at them. You just present your information, and you want them to reconsider having this $70 a month minimum. It's a reasonable position to take, and it's an argument you should make. And then if you really got fired up and you've organized people and all that, you find out what committee of council hears this kind of thing, and that's who you go to next. You become an active, involved citizen. When you have a question for me on the Clark Howard Show, go to clarkhoward.com/ask. Dennis is with us on the Clark Howard Show. Dennis, you have a question for me about something a lot of business owners have to make a decision on. What is that?
Yeah, Clark, we're looking at buying a pickup, and we want to know whether it's better to buy it or to lease it.
The decision for a business owner is not an easy one, whether you buy or lease, where for most consumers, leasing is a bad decision in most circumstances. For a business owner, often leasing, because of the way taxes are done and the way a lease vehicle is treated for tax purposes, many times leasing, in your case a truck, would be better than buying a truck. But beyond just the narrow tax question, how long do you tend to keep a vehicle you buy, Dennis, and how many miles do you put on it a year?
Well, I've always driven everything I own into the ground. I've only bought one new car in my life.
Okay.
And we plan on watching the miles very close on this so that we don't go over the 10 to 12,000 mile range.
But you would then be in a position you'd have it for 2 or 3 years, and then you'd be starting over.
Correct.
Okay. So separating your personal life from your business, personal life, you keep vehicles till you have to leave them by the side of the road. Why wouldn't you want to do that with this truck for your business?
Well, no, because I would rather not have to worry about, maintenance and a truck getting old if I'm going to be using it for work.
Okay. So that is, you've got a made-to-order scenario for why a business would lease instead of buy. It helps you with cash flow. It works out well on the tax side. And although it is an obligation, it's an obligation for only a set number of months, and then you're done with the thing. So that's like a perfect checkmark list of why it would be fine for you to lease instead of buying the truck. Do you have an accountant that helps you?
That we'll only have to go and use it as a pickup rather than just a vehicle 3 or 4 times a month. What about just renting a truck when we need to use a pickup?
So it's an occasional use vehicle?
Well, I would use it for work, but most of the time it would just be used as a passenger vehicle, and 3 or 4 times a month as a truck.
I think you'd find if you're having to use it as a truck 3 or 4 times a month, there's too much hassle involved with probably going to rent occasionally. I think in that case, leasing still makes even more sense.
Stay tuned for 60 seconds of AP News headlines right after this podcast.
Welcome to the Clark Howard Show, where you learn to keep more of what you make. Follow me at facebook.com/Clark Howard. On the web, clarkhoward.com. When you got a question, clarkhoward.com/ask. Because of the way we buy so many things with automatic billing, we might sign up for something on the web or whatever. Could be a service, could be a web thing. And the bills just keep on going, and they slip by us. Technology bills that just go on, as an example. And a couple of months ago, I told you about a very controversial website called Bill Cutters, BILLCUTTERZ, not S.com, that goes out and negotiates for you on all your bills and tries to lower them. Well, now I want to tell you about another one that I mentioned when it was in beta and now is available to you to use, called Truebill. Truebill.com goes through all your bills and then lets you know what things are out there, and you can cancel them, at least in theory, with one simple click per bill. And then behind the scenes, they handle getting rid of the things you're paying for that maybe at one time they made sense, but they don't anymore. And I am actually signing up for Truebill. I'm going to let it go through my bills, and then I'm going to report back if the sizzle also has steak. You know what that means? You know, a lot of things sound really great, but then in practice, they don't really make it happen. The reviews I've read of Truebill are very good, but I'm going to check it out for myself and see. Or if you don't want to wait for me, go to Truebill.com and you'll see what you can save. They say they save the average person who signs up with them $500. Now, the cost of signing up with them is nothing. How they make money, I don't know. So often with things on the web, gosh, who knows? It says, question, do you bill my card? No. Truebill is 100% free service. We will never bill your credit card for any service we provide. In fact, you'll never give us your card number. So we couldn't charge you even if we wanted to. So I think this is an opportunity because we all, with our busy lives, have these stray charges that come here, there, and everywhere. And why not save that money? As to the claim that you'll save $500 a year, if they're right, that the average person who uses this saves $500, who wouldn't want $500 back in their pocket? But let's say they're exaggerating. Let's just say it's $200. If somebody said, here's two $100 bills, would you like them or not? I bet you're going to say you'd like them, right? And I want to repeat, the first one I mentioned, again, is called Bill Cutters. And Bill Cutters ends with a Z, not an S. And their deal is they impersonate you with all your service providers and negotiate lower prices for you. They're not helping you get rid of services. They're just helping you get the things you get cheaper, where Truebill is about getting rid of things you forgot about, you're paying for, but they're not relevant in your life anymore. Joanne joins us on the Clark Howard Show. Hello, Joanne.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you, Joanne. And you have an unusual question for me.
Well, I've been looking onto online DNA companies, and I've traced my ancestry back through to Matthew Thornton, who was a personal surgeon to George Washington and signer of the Declaration, which is really cool and wonderful, but I'd like to go back further, and I'd like to know, since there's so many companies, which is the best and who will go back further?
Okay, so first, I'm so impressed because, I'm from an immigrant family, and nobody ever talked much about where we were from. We were from various places in Central Europe that kicked us all out. And so I know nothing about my background at all. So you go all the way back to the founding of this country.
I know. Sometimes I feel like I should be ashamed.
No, that's pretty exciting.
It is exciting. It is nice to know, but I don't know much about him other than he himself emigrated from Ireland. and there are some French and English mixed into our family, but I'd like to know, where did we really come from? I mean, you watch the shows like Rome and Spartacus, and you think, gee, was my ancestor with Alicia and being beaten by Caesar? And, you wonder things like that.
Well, there are some sites you can try. And have you been to Ancestry.com, which is the biggest of the players?
Yes, I have.
And I think it's about $100 a year for that one.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive. I was just wondering if there was one company that kind of, just went through and did it for you.
You got to do some. I mean, with all of them, you do a little bit of work, but they do a lot of the digging for you. I mean, it's electronic, but they're doing the digging for you. There's one that is more expensive called GeneBase.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been to that one?
I might have. I've seen so many online that it's actually confusing. It'll set your mind spinning how many companies there are out there.
Yeah, but if you look at who's leading the herd, Ancestry is definitely there. GeneBase is definitely there. And National Geographic has a very expensive one.
Oh, that's neat, because we actually have joined them, the National Geographic Society.
Theirs is $200. Maybe you get a cheaper price as a member of the society. But with any of them, people are either, they're polarized. They're either ecstatic with one of these sites, or they're frustrated and feel ripped off because they didn't find the family tree information they wanted.
Right, right.
And there's something that I would be remiss if I did not mention, that the Mormon Church does a service where they search background for people, and it's tied up in the beliefs of the church about the role of people's ancestors in their lives, that they have one of the world's best databases of being able to research family background for Mormons and non-Mormons alike.
Oh, that's wonderful to know.
And so that is something a lot of people will use as a way of digging background. And I wonder, I've never actually, you've got me thinking, where is my family from? What happened in our past? I'm sure nothing too exciting in our past in Europe, but it's
well,
just...
you never know. I mean, and you watch these shows, Rome and Spartacus, you think, wow, now where were my family from? Did they interact with these characters somehow, and it's wonderful and fascinating to find out.
Well, as a member of the National Geographic Society, the actual service you want to look at through them is called the Genographic Project.
Okay.
And good luck with finding that. And you said, once again, you have a family connection. What was the George Washington connection?
His name was Matthew Thornton. He is one of the last signers of the Declaration of Independence, and he was also personal surgeon to George Washington.
Wow. That sounds really impressive. I got nothing like that in my past. Pedro's with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Pedro.
Hi, Clark. How are you?
Great. Thank you, Pedro. How can I serve you?
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
My family and I are planning a vacation, and we're planning a road trip. And I was just curious if it was cheaper to rent a car or to drive our own vehicle for the road trip.
Almost always, if you're doing a significant mileage road trip, and it's in a 7-day or 14-day block, where it's like for a block of time, renting a car is almost always cheaper than operating your own.
Okay.
Because you figure, according to AAA that crunches the numbers on this, cost of driving 1 mile has gone down in the last year, but it's still almost 60 cents a mile operating your own vehicle.
Okay.
And if you figure out how many miles you're going to put on the thing, do you know how many miles your trip will be?
It's 1,600 one way, so 3,200. Yes.
It's going to be a 3-week trip?
No. We're hoping to make it a week trip, but
what?
We're going to drive.
You're going to live in the car. 3,200 miles in a week?
Maybe I got the mileage wrong, but we're going to Washington, D.C.
Wow. From Texas.
Yes.
Okay, so you do that in a week. Yes, rent the car.
Okay.
And in D.C., don't even think about running a red light. I think they pay for the entire operation of government in Washington, D.C. with red light cameras.
Okay, that's good to know.
But yes, in that situation, virtually without exception, you would do so much better renting a car.
Okay.
And one thing to look for, some of the car rental companies for local pickup will not extend unlimited miles or will impose geographic restrictions on you. So make sure when you book a car that you read the terms and conditions to see that it's both unlimited miles and without geographic restriction.
Okay.
But yes, rent the car.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And have fun in D.C. I lived there for 5 years. It was a great, great place to live. Cheryl's with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Clark.
Cheryl, you have a question for me that I wish more people would ask me.
Okay.
What is it?
Well, I am looking at password managers because of all the passwords that I have, and I know I've had the same password for many things for many, many years. So I'm going in and I'm changing them, and I'm writing them down, and I'm forgetting which one I changed and which one is what. And so I was looking at these password managers where you just put everything into a manager, and then you have a basic password that accesses that. But I'm a little nervous about putting that out there.
I think that Dashlane is absolutely outstanding.
Okay.
And the reviews of Dashlane from the various tech writers are just, they're breathless in how much they love Dashlane. Very, very easy to use. And it's not the only one. It has some specific rivals that, have you looked at LastPass?
It looked like Dashlane and LastPass were the two that were the top.
They definitely are. And they are, I don't know that they are the absolute two best, but they are the two that seem to have broken through the most. But when I read all these articles that have been, they've been so prominent from the tech writers, Dashlane always seems to come out on top.
Okay.
And, it comes with
one I was looking at.
It comes with the free version. And then it's a freemium business model. There's a free version. And then if you want it across all devices, is it $30 a year?
That's what I read.
Yeah, I think it's $30 a year. And for peace of mind, Cheap Guy is saying it's absolutely worth you spending, Cheryl. If you need the expensive model, the one you have to pay for, $30's worth it. When you have a question for me on the Clark Howard Show, go to clarkhoward.com/ask. And Emily is with us. Hi, Emily. How are you?
Oh, good. Thanks.
Emily, you got something you're dealing with taxes you wanted to run by me. Tell me the story.
Okay, so I received a medical settlement last year, so I paid off a lot of my debt, including student loans for me and my husband. So this year, we don't have that interest deduction. We'll owe about $1,000 for federal, but we'd get back $700 from state. So I was wondering if we should contribute some money to an IRA so we won't have to owe money, we'll get money back.
Well, that's an interesting thought. You're thinking, hey, why don't we just do a regular IRA, and it will eliminate our federal tax liability, and we'll have put money aside for long term.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea if you've got the money. Sure.
Yeah, because the medical settlement that I have, even though I don't really touch it that often, we have been using it a little bit. So I don't want it all to go away. But then you can lose money in IRAs, right?
That's true. In the short term, you can, depending on how you invest the money. I have an investment guide at clarkhoward.com for people putting money into IRAs and their cousin called a Roth account. and I have 3 buttons on it. Like, are you a skier?
No. My husband is, though.
All right. Well, you may have heard your husband talk about green, blue, and black slopes.
Okay.
Green is for beginners and easier skiing, and blue is for intermediate, and black is for advanced. Well, I have divided my investment guide into blue, green, and black. And I have some very simple one-stop kind of things you can do with your IRA money that you would put in, that you can just pop your money right into one of the easy accounts I have, and you just leave it alone. And over the years, the chances you would lose money fall to almost nothing. The chances that you'll make decent money are very good.
Should I pick a traditional or Roth? I mean, are they both?
Well, the difference is this. You would get the immediate tax benefit doing the regular IRA. You would eliminate this tax bill that you owe. Then at the time that you would retire, every penny in your IRA is taxed, all your earnings and all your contributions. On the other hand, if you do a Roth account, you do nothing about that tax bill. You still owe the IRS the grant, but the money in the Roth is never taxed. It's already been taxed. You're using essentially after-tax dollars, and when you retire, all the money in the Roth is yours tax-free. So it's really a pay me now or pay me later kind of thing.
What would you do?
Well, depends on how old you are. Do you mind saying how old you are?
Well, I'm 29, but my husband's going to be 26.
Okay, so at your ages, doing a Roth would be a much better idea because you'll have decades of tax-free growth, and then you'll spend tax-free.
But then we'd still owe our tax bill.
You would still owe the $1,000 in tax, right? So one is the immediate, and one is the long term. So you just got to decide which is better for you right now.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Howard Podcast. Download new episodes every Monday through Friday at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com. Stay tuned for the latest AP News headlines from Podcast One right after this.
AP Update. I'm Carlotta Bradley. The Democratic National Convention and the committee has apologized to Bernie Sanders, AP correspondent Jerry Bodlander reports.
As the convention got underway, the committee issued a statement in which it offered a deep and sincere apology to Bernie Sanders, his supporters, and the entire party for what it called the inexcusable remarks contained in emails that were leaked. The emails intimated that party officials favored Hillary Clinton over Sanders during the primary season. The statement, which was signed by 7 officials, but not outgoing Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz, says the comments do not reflect the values of the DNC or, quote, our steadfast commitment to neutrality during the nominating process. Jerry Bodlander at the Democratic Convention, Philadelphia.
Bernie Sanders supporters say they don't want to be taken for granted. One Florida delegate says Sanders supporters are not going to get steamrolled. AP Update. I'm Carlotta Bradley.